You may be thinking to yourself right now, Smitty, what are you talking about right now? I saw the title of the show is Lamar Jackson may be going to Washington.
They've already ruled this out, Smitty.
Aaron Rodgers a possibility for the Washington Commanders? Smitty, he's going to New York. There's still a strong possibility Lamar Jackson lands with another team in 2023 and beyond.
Take a lap.
The Odell Beckham Jr. signing definitely put us in a position where we sat there for a minute going, this is happening. He's going back to Baltimore. Lamar Jackson posted a video clip of him dancing. The two celebrating together on Instagram, both posting screenshots of them having a FaceTime call, just having a blast. It felt like, it still kind of does feel like the two have been talking about uniting in Baltimore. And one of the big gripes for Lamar, or for all of us, is that the Ravens don't set him up with wide receiver talent. The Ravens set him up for failure. It's easy to draw a conclusion right away and say, okay, the writing's on the wall here. Lamar's coming back to Baltimore. He's got Odell. Whether we believe Odell's an answer or solution, he's not. He's a wide receiver too. He's a glorified wide receiver too, if he can even stay healthy. And if he gets wide receiver one volume, he's not lasting 5-6 games. We can debate that in the comments. Go ahead. I've already decided how I feel about that topic. I don't need to debate it with anybody. But here's the thing. We're about to get officially new ownership in Washington. So the old talk of we don't want Lamar Jackson, that may not be relevant anymore. You're bringing in, still pending the official announcement of this, but everyone's kicking around this news right here that talks about Commanders owner Daniel Snyder has agreed to sell the team for $6 billion to the Philadelphia Sixers and New Jersey Devils owner Josh Harris. The report reads, if true, and there's no reason to believe it isn't, although we heard shortly after that maybe this isn't completed. There's still a potential bidding war going on, but I'll keep reading. The $6 billion price tag would obliterate the previous $4.65 billion record set by the Broncos sale. And keep in mind, this sale is to a group that includes Philadelphia Sixers co-owner Josh Harris, as well as another billionaire and former NBA star Magic Johnson. So, and the thing you should be asking yourself right now is this group that's buying this Washington Commander football team, are they going to come in and shake things up? Are they going to come marching in and say, let's solve the problem that has been holding this franchise back year after year after year? The curse is broken, people are saying. Again, if this all ends up holding true. Again, there's reports saying this is not complete yet. Once official, this Harris group is going to come in and try and solve problems. And what better way to not only shake up the NFL in this narrative about Lamar, to come in and make a statement, if you will, against the other owners that have been sitting in here in the old boys club and say, we don't care about what any of you are thinking about Lamar. We're coming in and we're going to take this man, this former MVP, put him on our roster and march the Washington Commanders into the playoffs. And you might say, Smitty, the Washington Commanders football team, the presidents, whatever you want to call these guys, the Washington Commanders aren't making the playoffs. They have a really good team. They have Terry McLaurin. They have Dotson. They have a good running crew. They have the number 16 overall pick, which it wouldn't shock me if they used that pick in conjunction with the 2024 first rounder to make the offer sheet offer to Lamar if they could act in time. And I don't know that this will all be official and in motion anytime soon before the NFL draft. Those details will develop, but it wouldn't shock me if they said, what do we care? Let's go get Lamar before there's a bidding war after the NFL draft, because the truth is, guys, there are teams that can't participate or that just don't want to participate in the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes before the NFL draft, because it would require you to give up your first round picks in the two most immediate NFL drafts, meaning that if the Colts wanted to partake, they would have to give up this number 4 overall pick. If the New England Patriots wanted to partake, they'd have to give up that number 14 overall pick. The same thing with the Tennessee Titans at 11. So this feeling of no one wants Lamar is going to go away and dry up really quickly once the 2023 NFL draft is over and all these picks have been used. Then, once this draft is over, if anybody wants to offer an offer sheet to Lamar and the Ravens do not match the offer, the next immediate NFL draft is 2024, of which no one knows what picks they have. So you're giving up arbitrary picks that aren't set in stone like these are. The problem is, though, according to reports and what we're hearing, this deal can't get done until May, meaning the hypothetical offer sheet surrendering the 16 overall pick in the 2023 draft and the 2024 first rounder is not really on the table because this particular ownership doesn't want Lamar. So at the end of the day, this has to be after the 2023 NFL draft move, meaning the Commanders, if they want to pursue Lamar, and I think the new ownership will have that conversation. I think Magic and the boys are going to say, look, let's go get this guy. And again, they might face other bids and people in the sweepstakes for Lamar. It doesn't matter if the stance was pre-sale, we don't want Lamar. It doesn't matter at all. New ownership is going to come in and shake things up. New ownership, partially led by a former pro athlete, Magic Johnson's probably going to be pretty pro player. And when you think about what owner is going to be most likely to walk up to Lamar Jackson and say, the way people are treating you isn't fair, and we want you here. If any owner or combination of owners is going to do that, change directions and go get Lamar Jackson and make a statement in 100 different ways, it's this Harris group right here. And so all I'm saying is I have no insider information or any lead on this. It's me merely speculating on a change in direction for a club that's about to get new ownership. And it needs to be talked about, it needs to be considered, it needs to be referenced. The Washington Commanders are in play for Lamar Jackson until we hear they're not by new ownership after this thing becomes official, if it becomes official, when it becomes official. Now, Smitty, talk about this Aaron Rodgers situation. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, I'm often asked, hey, Smitty, is there a world where Aaron Rodgers may not end up becoming a New York football Jet? And the answer usually is, come on, man, it's going to happen. But when you stop and think about what is going on right now, and if I have to cook up some sort of alternative plan or alternative world that we're all going to live in that doesn't have Aaron Rodgers going to the New York Jets, this is the idea that comes to mind. And this is partly why the Washington Commanders are going to want to act before the NFL draft and surrender this potential number 16 overall, because other teams are going to be in play after the NFL draft is over. And Green Bay dragging their feet on this trade, wanting to maybe acquire the Jets number 13, a future first rounder, not wanting to give up extra compensation in case Rodgers walks away after 1 year, which is what the Jets want. Regardless, it sounds like everything I'm hearing from people I trust, it's more on Green Bay than it is on anybody else. It's not Aaron Rodgers' fault why this hasn't gotten done. And the Jets have some blame because they're trying to push back on the Green Bay Packers wanting a little more. There's two sides to that story, but the Green Bay Packers better be careful, because negotiation 101, when you have alternatives and other avenues and you get pushed unfairly where someone's trying to take advantage of you, you make it known that your other avenues are now on the table. i.e., you're in a trade negotiation with Bob in your fantasy league and he wants to play hardball, acquiring your, let's say Trevor Lawrence, because you got Justin Fields and Joe Burrow. And he's playing hardball. He knows you've got two quarterbacks. He knows you can't even use T-Law. So Bob's trying to push his luck with you and say, I'm not going to give you what you want. You've got two quarterbacks. You got Burrow. You got Fields. You can't even use T-Law. I've got you by the balls, bro. I got you
by the balls.
But does he have you by the cojones? Because at the end of the day, you say to him, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and put a league message out on the league message board and say T-Law's available.
Who wants him?
And I think I'm calling off our trade negotiation. Even if you say, I want to maybe make this trade right now, never mind, I might actually not accept it anymore. And I'm going to go see if I can get a little more from the other fellas.
Wait.
Okay, we'll go ahead and make this trade. Never mind.
I'll do it.
No. I'm going to take it to the boys. This is the way you negotiate trade. And when you get pushed to your limit, there are options on the table. And when we look at Aaron Rodgers and say, what are the Jets' alternatives? As soon as the draft is over, the Green Bay Packers lose a lot of leverage. Because like mentioned earlier, the New York Jets want to use this number 13 overall pick. They don't want to surrender it in an offer sheet offer to Lamar Jackson, where they send an offer, Lamar signs it, and in compensation, if the Ravens don't accept and match the offer, the New York Jets have to surrender the 2023 first rounder, the 2024 first rounder. They have to have a 2023 and a 2024 to do the offer sheet process right now, which is why the Dolphins, who don't have a first rounder in 2023, the Niners don't have a first rounder in 2023. Those teams cannot participate in even talking to Lamar Jackson until this draft is over, and they have first rounders in each of the two immediate drafts, which would be 2024 and 2025 once the 2023 draft is over. The Jets, once the draft is over and this pick is used and spent, are going to be looking at the Aaron Rodgers situation differently, because now they have Lamar Jackson on the table for a potential offer sheet situation. And if I'm getting pushed to my limit, and I've made it publicly known as the New York Jets brass that I'll spare no expense to go get that elite veteran, guess what? You push me to my limit, I'm going to offer a deal to Lamar and potentially get more longevity out of the deal. This is a team that could win a Super Bowl or two in the next 8 years. This is not a 1 to 2 to 3 year window. This is a team just getting started, the New York Jets. And if pushed to the limit, they will go explore other avenues. And once that door opens, they might play hardball back with the Packers, because now they've got options. They don't have options right now because they can't offer Lamar an offer, because the early 2023 draft pick would have to be in the mix. That would have to be surrendered if an offer sheet was rejected, not matched by the Ravens, but accepted by Lamar, and then Lamar's inked to a new deal. Once the draft's over, the Jets have another avenue that's right in front of their face. Green Bay better be careful. Lamar Jackson would be a fantastic fit in a New York Jets uniform. This is 100% Lamar Jackson, an option for the New York Jet football team if this thing goes past the NFL draft. This thing being Lamar Jackson not getting signed to a new deal, not inking his franchise tag and getting traded, which he'd have to do. He'd have to sign that tag before he could even get traded. And he'd be crazy to throw away his leverage by signing that tag. Right now, he's got a lot of leverage going. I'm going to take it into the draft, and so be it. On the other side of the draft, on the other side of the curtain, Lamar's going to have more opportunities with the 2023 draft picks out of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4 teams are going to be interested, one of which will be the New York Jets if they're still being pushed to the limit and tested by the Green Bay Packers. The Packers better get their crap together. The Packers better understand that they can't call the New York Jets bluff after the draft. What would happen to A-Rod if that happened? I don't know. I don't know. Would he walk away? Would he retire? Would he call up San Francisco and see where Purdy's situation's at and say, look, I can come in and I can win. And you can come in and say, he's already been shot down. Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to play for the Niners. Smitty, you don't know what you're talking about. Look, you don't know what's going on in Aaron Rodgers' mind. You don't know what's going on in the Niners boardroom meetings when they're sitting around a table going, well, we got semi-bad news about Brock Purdy that we can't share with anybody yet, and we won't share with anybody yet. Looks like we won't have him till week 8 or 9. Why don't we shelve him, get him totally healthy, have him absorb and learn behind Aaron Rodgers for 1 full year, ensuring he gets fully healthy and bounces back 100% versus rush him and have him get re-injured. Let's bring in A-Rod, win a championship, sell a bunch of new jerseys, get everybody excited. Winning a championship feeds the franchise in earnings and all kinds of advertising for years. It's worth the expense of Aaron Rodgers from a contract perspective. You can move the money around, and the amount of money you gain and earn by winning a Super Bowl would more than pay for it. At the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers would definitely have a different mindset too if his opportunity in New York dried up because of the Green Bay Packers, especially if it's at the fault of the Green Bay Packers. If you say to yourself, well, he was already asked about the Niners and he said he's not going to the Niners, he shot that down, Smitty, because on his mind, he has the New York Jets. He wants to go to New York. If that option is not available and he wants to come back and play and the Packers burned him, what are his alternatives to just say, I'm not going to budge, I'm going to go to the Jets, or I'm not going anywhere? He's going to decide, okay, realistically, what are my options now? Things have changed. He has had interest playing in a 49ers uniform before. Doesn't matter how he feels slighted about this or what he said about that. Get over the comments you've heard. Start thinking differently, because my scenario I'm painting is if the Jets are off the table. I'm not saying this will unfold this way. I'm just constantly asked, hey, Smitty, might Aaron Rodgers not be a Jet? Hey, Smitty, might the Washington football team reconsider Lamar with new ownership? My answer to all these things has just been mapped out in front of you. I'd love to know your thoughts below. I'd love to know where you want Lamar to be. I think Washington would be a fantastic place for Lamar. I think New York would be a fantastic place for Lamar. And I think the Niners would be a fantastic place for Lamar. Do you get the sense that maybe he fits pretty well in a couple different scenarios? And if you're about to type,
Hey, Smitty.
how do you believe this could happen? It's
Not gonna happen, Smitty.
understand what I'm saying and the words coming out of my mouth. This is all predicting if a lot of things go a bunch of different directions and go sideways on this entire Jet situation. No one's suggesting these are the most likely things to play out. Although I think the Washington Commanders and Lamar, that's going to be on the table soon, or at least kicked around and maybe shot down. But that's my job. My job is to come in here and talk about the possibilities. These are the possibilities. At the end of the day, out of everything I talked about, doesn't mean it's likely at all just because I'm talking about it. But if the Niners wanted to win a Super Bowl right away, almost guaranteed they should go get Lamar Jackson right now. Via trade, they can't participate in the offer sheet process, but Lamar signs his franchise tag because he's getting traded to the Niners. The Niners will win a Super Bowl immediately. But guess what? Logic is not always in play. And I'm not suggesting the Niners have this as plan A. They don't. They should, but they don't. This is all spec. And if Lamar ends up back in Baltimore, I'm staying clear because we know what happens in Baltimore. He absolutely gets abused. He gets disarmed, and Odell's not it. Lamar is a total bust candidate for me in 2023, just like he was in 2022, 2021, and 2020. In my mind, in Baltimore, nothing's going to change if he goes back to Baltimore. In fact, I'll question his decision-making and judgment like I have all offseason because he doesn't have an agent and he's letting opportunities slip through his fingers. So Lamar, if you go back to Baltimore, I'm out. If you go to Washington, Indianapolis, the New York Jets, let's ride. Aaron Rodgers, I hope you find your way onto a New York Jet, going to New York, tossing the rock to Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. I can't wait to see it. If it doesn't happen because Green Bay is trying to stop you from succeeding in New York, go grab the reins in San Francisco, bring home a championship. Let Brock Purdy learn under you, and also free Trey Lance while you're at it. Send Trey Lance to Washington. If Lamar's not there, that actually sounds pretty good. Now get on over to thefantasyfootballshow.com, my content site. The rankings, they're year-round. We don't have draft kits. Hey, Smitty, when's your draft kit coming out? There's no draft kit. It's a year-round 365 website with rankings that are year-round, trade calculators that are year-round, bold predictions that are year-round. I mean, give me a break. You want year-round content? This is for the big boys. thefantasyfootballshow.com. And go cop your Breece's Pieces shirt. Link in the description already. Dress appropriately when you come to the show. Wear your uniform.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.